close family members might also put this impact on you. And that's the idea of comparing yourself with other people.
We're expected to know how to live life when it's like college related stuff, but rather than like our lifestyle. And it's like what happens after life of college. You know what I mean? What happens after you get your bachelor? What happens? Hi everyone, we are back. It's been like how many months?
I guess 10.
10 whole month.
Yeah, I know.
10 whole month. It's a long time. Time flies. Anywho, somehow none of us are married.
Or even have a baby.
Some of us are not even close to finishing like our whole 5 years of community.
I know.
And somehow that's seen as a what?
Scandal.
Scandal. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about something almost everyone can relate, most specifically Ethiopians, because it runs in our culture, where we come across conversations like, how old are you?
And when are you getting married?
Aren't you close to graduation? What's your next plan?
So, and then at the same time, there's also that stressing factor. When are you going to introduce me to that special someone?
Have you found your soulmate?
So, anyways, we want to have a real, honest conversation.
And also, we want to stress about how we need to be focusing on our own life types line rather than another factor adding a stress or telling us how to live our life. So within this, we want to include everyone, whether you're a woman or a man. And I feel like these are the conversations that we really need to stress on.
So, with that being said, we're going to be talking about how like our confidence kind of declines when these topics usually comes by, and how like our mental health becomes a big crisis. And but basically to talk about how like this specific timeline from like I would say 23 up, we have to follow this timeline of like, oh, like you need to get married kind of topics, and basically talk about how we see ourselves in our 20s basically. Yeah.
And we're going to be mentioning about how like in these 20s that we have everything figured out, and also somehow like we don't feel like we have everything figured out at the same time. So it's as if like we don't really know our true like purpose of this lifestyle. And we always have, you know, we call them the aunties, where they kind of have a big higher expectation, and they don't really understand where we're at in life. And even though those wishes might seem as, you know, caring, they don't really understand the stress that they have within us.
Of course.
And sometimes we need to be considerate. So we're going to be touching based on that, as well as talking about like how are the conversation when it comes to wedding could be very stressful, and how does that relate to mental health, and how can we better understand our children when it comes to parents and all of that. So we're going to be talking about these things, and even though these conversations are very deep, we are also going to be talking about it in a more conversational format rather than just like this has happened, this is that, point fingering. And I want you guys to really understand that this is a safe space. It's not really judgmental, but rather than like educating and how can we be better as a community and better understand who we are. And it is okay not to figure everything.
Of course. So if you're a woman or a male who's been told you're picky, you're getting old, or even too focused on your career, I would say that this episode is for you. So with that being said, let's get into it.
Which brings us to our number one sub point. And we talked about life in our 20s, the doubt that we have, the growth, and all of that. So one of the questions I have for you is, just to like start our conversation, you know, is that how would your life right now, or the things that whether you experience or taught with the adults that you have a conversation with, how would you tell your younger self, like, I wish I knew this sooner and that would help me handle life at right now, and we're still handling life. Like
Of
we
course.
haven't had like all figured out. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
So how would you kind of introduce the struggle that you think like I also went through this and another person can go through this and relatable topics?
Yeah, I love the question that you just brought. I would say that life in your 20s is basically a trial and error situation. It has its own pros, its own cons too. Again, to start off with, the pros, you become independent slightly. For example, there's times where I was able to even travel by myself, for example. I still do it to this day. And then the cons being, again, I would say not being financially stable. And that falls underneath the idea of I wish I knew this financial, how to basically learn how to be financially capable at a young age. Because if you actually like notice, when you're in university or when you're in college, that's when they stress these things on you. When it's kind of too late, but not necessarily. So I wish I knew that earlier on. And then at the same time, being in my 20s right now, we all have that like bucket lists, you feel me? So for example, I used to say like, oh, by this age I should be done with university with my bachelor's, and by this age I should be done by my master's. And then again, the fun thing is being like, oh, by age this I want to go to Dubai and like skydive. Guess what? I'm at that age and it didn't happen. And wow, I feel like I failed, but it has its own like benefits and like impacts.
It's okay not
right?
to have it all figured out is basically what you're saying. And I really love how you mentioned like the bucket list, and usually we're expected to know how to live life when it's like college related stuff, but rather than like our lifestyle. And it's like what happens after life of college. Exactly. You know what I mean? What happens after you get your bachelor? What happens after you graduate and all of that? You have a lot of goals in life, obviously, and some can happen, some does not. But within that, you learn your capability. You learn how to have plan B and all of that. And sometimes because of our upbringings, I feel like, and with our culture expectations and all of that, that plays really, really big role. And we're going to touch on that later on in our conversation. I just want to say within that though, like, what if sometimes we didn't even choose the career that we want because we wanted to satisfy another factor? For instance, the first main thing is, okay, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be these higher respected careers, and you don't
with higher like salaries too.
You know what I mean? And we mainly focusing on, okay, this has a really good like money wise. So how about you focus your shift in that, even though you're not, you don't have the passion or you don't have the interest. And sometimes it's really not about money. It's all about like, do I see myself within this career for a lifetime? And who am I satisfying? Am I satisfying myself, or am I satisfying
people?
Our parents? Because you go through the struggle, you go through the stress, not your family. And sometimes we forget that our happiness is much more their happiness rather than I'm doing this for them. And all of this happened because I feel like the lack of what? Communications within our family. Within that, I feel like we should also consider our main interests. We are the main role here, and how we need to focus on what do I want in life. Okay, what if, so within that, right, like since we're talking about career choice, how about like that career doesn't fit in? Does that mean my life is over? And what could like be the possible like solution for someone that hasn't had their life figured out when it comes to the career choice?
Of course, I love that idea actually, because career-wise, I mean school-wise, right? Again, there's these topics that you just mentioned. For example, like studying medicine is the best for you because hey, like we want a family. There's this family root of nurses, doctors, surgeons, and stuff, and we want you to follow that. There's also that thing of, okay, like let me just follow that path, and then let's say to your end, you're like in this stressing zone. You're learning like physiology and anatomy, and you're like, oh my god, this is a lot of information to take in. This is not for me. And then there's that time where you're like, should I just like switch my career? and then you're too scared to even bring it up to your parents because they might think you're a failure. So I love that idea of, that it's okay to pause a minute and then reflect, am I interested in this career choice that I'm making, or is it for my own parents' sake? And I think it's okay, not even, I think it's okay, I believe that you should communicate and say, hey, I'm having a lot of stress, so I think it's best for me to change my path, stick to my passion, and it could be arts, it could be whatever it is.
And sometimes you even
and
try, right?
Up. Yeah.
Sometimes you even try and you you put in your effort. It's not like there are people that just like, I don't want this, I don't want that, I'm just gonna switch my career and stuff like that. There are times where you try and sometimes it's difficult to continue with that path. There's just something is just not there yet, and it is okay to know it at the early stage and then change it. And there's nothing that it's like too late to change a career because of your age. Age, and that should not be the main focus, but rather than your mental. You need to allow your emotions to speak for you and not 100%. wait until you regret.
Exactly.
So let's avoid regret, and then let's go. So that brings us to our next sub point where, okay, what if you are not the type of person that's college is for you and you wanted to move on and find a job? Because we said financial independency is also one of the things that we struggle as a younger age, because we don't know how money works, the flow of money. And in order to get money at this age, we need to be able to find a job. And at how the economy is right now, it's very difficult to find a job, and it's sad reality to even say, but finding a job seen as like winning a lottery at this point, because they're just not hiring. So how can that person also know how to use their money, even when they have a job, when there are crises like this in their life, and when you're really so close enough to even give up? And these are the factors I feel like we all struggle right now. I can't do college, so I have to find a job. But what if I can't find a job? What are the things? How can I fully say I want to help out my parents and stuff like that, but I can't even be this, So these are the things that we go through. So how can we help our children have that supporting system? Because I feel like we're lacking support system. So what can be how can we
I honestly love that idea too. I love all your ideas at this point. So there's this thing that I always say, that this generation is experiencing one of the difficult things in life, because of course the previous generation has been in wars and stuff, which is 10 times worse, but I'm just talking in perspective of being financially stable, or just having the lavish life. So the reason to why I'm saying that is because work-wise, we're at that age where the economy is just all over the place, and then you can't even find work, or you can find work, but then it could be 3 hours or 6, 10, and that salary that you're getting might not be that much of a supportive thing to you, because you want to buy essential things as a female or a male, and that's also a big struggle. I guess what I really like about this generation is we're creative. You see, we see people that are doing TikTok. We see people that are building their own brands, promoting stuff, and at least that trying mindset is very beneficial to be financially stable. On the other hand, there's this issue.
Okay.
I'm specifically talking about our culture. When it comes to Western countries, you see allowances. Okay, you do this, and then I'll give you let's say $5, because you're cleaning the house, you're cleaning the washroom or something. Cleaning the whole house shouldn't be $5, but at least doing something and then getting that money teaches you to be, hey, let me save my money, and then maybe I'll just buy my mom something or something. That teaches you how you should save money. On the other hand, when it comes to our culture, it's more so, I tell you to do this, and then you do it. It teaches you discipline, don't get me wrong, and it's a very good thing to have during these days. But then at the same time, because we're not taught about how to save money, we tend to struggle when we're in school. We tend to struggle when we're in college, high school, whatsoever. And that's one of the big issues because let's say you have this school trip coming, and then you want to ask your parents, hey, like, can I have money? You tend to get scared because I don't know, like, it's a scary thing asking for money these days, and because that parent might not have, like, you see, my point here is the Western culture puts these allowances and then you earn for it. When it comes to our culture, you don't give money that much. Even like,
No,
for example,
they give money and they say don't use it, keep it for the future. And I get where they're coming from, but you can't just know how to use your money if you're not taught or if you don't know the difference when you use your money and it's given it out to you.
Of course. Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? And I think what you're trying to say here is more of like, let's adapt the Western culture as a strategy. Like, these are something that we need to take in rather than being judgmental or rather than just saying, oh, like, if we use this kind of like strategy from like Western world, we feel like we're kind of like erasing our culture. And I don't stand by that like perspective, because I feel like something that is good for our culture, let's take it in, and something like that's like out of like our religious perspective or cultural perspective that lacks identity, then you know, I agree. But these are something we should adapt to learn.
Of course.
And I really love how you say we are creative and we have the resources and we should use them.
Yeah.
Also, within that, I would like to add is and feel free to like also like continue with because I just really love the idea, and like if I've cut you off, I'm really sorry.
No worries.
Continuing with that is these kind of media jobs are not supported within our family because we've seen it as a shortcut that's like not like lasting.
You're not working hard enough.
Why would you do this when you could have done that?
Yeah.
And this is what I meant when it's like supporting system. Please allow your children to do something that nobody does. It's okay to not to be successful at one try, two try, three try. It's okay to fail. This at least like taking the risk, stepping out of their comfort zone and doing something that a lot of people are just sitting in their house, not doing anything. Taking the baby steps, willing to do it, allows a person to stand confidently and say, you know what, I earned this.
Yeah.
I should be here. If a person A can do it, why can't I?
Of course.
With that though, a lot of times we kind of see the repetition within the media, where it's like, if person A start doing this like this kind of business, let me do the same.
Of course.
Can we like try to like add our own creativity, so it's not like we're doing the same thing again and again and again. What is person A lacking? How can I add my own flavor and make it better? For instance, if you're just doing like online, you could like add on and say like, maybe I can deliver it to their house. Maybe I could add another thing.
Yeah.
How can like I have everything in one place rather than the other? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I believe adding your own spice, I would say, like, would be beneficial when it comes to, you know, like being creative with whatever job that you're planning on doing. It could be easy as just styling poses or whatever it is. And then families should accept their children's creativity at the end of the day, as long as it's a beneficial thing, you know, like, of course. Again, flying back to like this allowing, I think the upbringing also has this influence when it comes to allowing kids to work at a young age. For example, I don't know back home because, you know, like I came here when I was 15, so I don't know the work system there. But the Western culture has this thing where by the age of 16 you can work. And then there's parents where they kind of fear for the safety of their kids, which is totally understandable. When I say that, I'm talking about, you know, the school system, depending on what school that they're going to, might run from 8:50 until 3, and then the only time that they can work is from like 4 to 10. And then working night shifts, it's a little scary because you'll never know what's going to happen, you know? And then at the same time, you can't be fully disclosing no to your kid, because if you want them to be financially stable, you need to allow them. If you fear for their safety, why don't you pick them up when it's, like by the time they're done with their shift?
And if that's the problem, maybe we should find online jobs or allow them to just, I feel like that could be done like with communication. This is where like speaking up, and I feel like a lot of times also if we want to be financially independent and have that like stability within our life, I feel like we should prove to them if there is a no. Like a lot of times I feel like we don't push ourselves enough. Maybe it could also be our weakness. And so this is where like self-reflection comes in as well, as where like, okay, if my parents are always saying no to me, what am I not getting enough, or what am I doing that is not proving to them? So this is where like type of like, okay, maybe they have a point for saying no to me. And this is where also we advise parents here or anybody that's like our emotional support person to actually understand is that we should be reasonable for why we're giving the reaction or the answer that we have. And this is where we need to also like adapt to the modern world here, where we need to step out of like the past, step out of like how I was raised, because you need to be able to say, hey, like I did not have this opportunity. So why should I dim that opportunity for my kids or whoever's around me? So we should first have that like self of change, and then be like reasonable and say, maybe like, you know what, maybe my children can prove to me if I can't do it, they can. So I should build that self-confidence. And a lot of times our main confidence level or our main focus is proving our worth to our parents, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the best way to have that mentality is if we have that mutual understanding from our family. And I feel like that could save a lot of lives, that could save a lot of self-doubting, that could save a lot of
self-criticism too,
and judgmental. And a lot of times we feel like if my parents not even gonna believe in me, who's gonna believe in me? You know what I mean? And yeah, let's just work on that and see how we have that like communication, that like bond that we have within our children and anybody. And like a lot of times we did mention, because like this is like also like relatable within like how we were raised. And we might say, okay, the child is already grown, so how can we have that like self-doubting, financial independency, not like being at that like early 20s or like even mid 20s. What is that going to be the solution if they're like at the age that they didn't have that discipline at the young age? And I would say like having the conversation with one another, saying like, I tried and I'm not able to have a stable job. What do you advise me? How can I help out in the house? What can I do? Because I'm not like, I don't want to like be, what is it called? I don't know the English word, but we say this in burden. I don't want to be the I just found I don't want to be a burden to my parents. I don't want to be the one that like sit here and just being fed. I want to help out. And there's like a lot of stress that,
honestly speaking,
we have growing up, and a lot of times an outside factor always sees you like, wow, when are you gonna move out? When are you gonna do that?
When are you going to settle in?
So I feel like one of the ways we can avoid this kind of stress factor is being like having that closure with one another. Let's start like have that
at a
like,
young age, honestly speaking, not only like early 20s, but like at a young age, I feel like our parents should be our best friends.
That's it. Who else are you gonna go to? Like your friend is there, your best friend is there and stuff like that, but are you gonna be fully like,
no.
What if that friend has their own life? Like that, like family is always gonna be a family. By the way, like a bond, like some of our bond can turn into from friendship to a family. I understand that, but at the same time, your number one source should be your family.
Period.
Meaning like our main parents, because that is like a safe word. Like at the end of the day, like they're gonna be the one that's holding you, that can accept you for who you are,
Yeah.
no matter what type of behavior that you show them. And what's preventing us from doing that is the mutual understand. There's no understand. There's always negativity that we gain, and maybe it's not from them, but like the amount
of course,
factors,
external factors, exactly. Yeah.
So let's be better. And we mentioned a lot of things, but to revisit what we're saying, we can add on to like, is there anything like before we summary up that you want to add, so that way?
I believe that as much as you have that supporting system, again, there's also some impacts that it has. I'm not necessarily speaking about parents in general, but like external factors, like those family members might also put this impact in you. And that's the idea of comparing yourself with other people. We can see, career-wise, you might be, like, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but you might be,
let's say you want to be a DJ.
Yeah.
Let's say you want to be a camera person.
Exactly. And
or
then
a musician, or even
person B is like a doctor or like an engineer that has a best salary, and that kind of kills your confidence. You feel me? And then
like the acceptance of like, why can't you accept my choice of career as long as I enjoy doing it and I want to do this? Why can't you agree?
Of course.
Since it's my life. You see that ownership of like leadership of like, I make the decision, because I am at the age where if it's not gonna work out, let me not work out. But can you be like my main like?
Yeah.
Go for it if that's what you want, because I just want you to.
Passion at the end of the day. Yeah.
So why is it a problem that because of these external factors, why do you think that's gonna lead into like, oh, that we must not do that, we must cut it out, and if we don't do it, what's the problem?
I think the main issue is again, like your upbringing matters. For example, these family members might have grown, and family members that have chosen their careers, chose their like work for them and stuff, and then you follow that path regardless if you like it or not. I believe that's also one of the factors, and at the same time, there's also like, I think culturally speaking, we are afraid to say no and when to speak up. For example, again, like, not that we're planning on talking about this topic, but let's say you're in a relationship, or you're just minding your own business, fully dedicating yourself with your career, and then these external factors come and then put this stress on you. Hey, like, what are you doing with your life? You need to just, if they're doing it way too much, you need to start speaking up and be like, hey, I'm doing this and I don't want you to interfere. As much as that might sound like disrespect, then you gotta do it regardless, because the reason to why I'm saying that is the more you carry these things on yourself, eventually one day it's gonna start blowing up and you might start
you can only take what you can take.
Shenanigans. Yeah.
And I really do underline and bold it where you said you need to speak up when you need to speak up.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna understand who you are unless you say, I know what I'm doing. I get, and it's
where you're coming from.
I get where you're coming from, you're thinking for me and all of that, but that's just not my main focus. And once you tell the person that, and once you tell them where they're kind of crossing a line, and they kind of be like, this is my boundary, and I want you, but you don't have a choice but to respect my boundaries, because I am the leader here. And there's always a way to say it respectfully. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to, show that downside of who you are. There's a lot of times where you're going to encounter people with a lot of negativities, a lot of comparison, a lot of that. But you are at the age where you get to speak up for yourself. You're not a kid anymore. You're not going to, your mom and dad's not going to hold your hands forever and speak for you.
Yeah.
So this is also one of the ways I feel like speaking up for ourselves can build up our confidence.
Of course.
Can show where your mind is at, to show that you are the leader of your life and you are not based on anybody's lifetime span, but rather your own.
Yeah.
So, and I don't believe that you should risk your mental health. You should risk your inner peace because you want to satisfy other people. And a lot of times, I wanted to say here is that you don't owe anybody an explanation of who you are.
100%. Yeah.
Or you don't even have to speak too much about where you're leading. You can maybe laugh it off or like, you know, go and like not. I don't believe that you should always speak like very what is that thing called, like when you speak so aggressively or something, because
Yeah.
I don't think you should show your sensitive side to other people, you know what I mean, for your own sake.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's sometimes you're gonna like laugh it off and pass it on, saying like, oh, maybe I'm just gonna like not gonna take it seriously and stuff like that. But when the time is needed, you need to speak up for yourself.
100%. Yeah. And I'd like to say that it's okay to struggle. Again, like life in your 20s is a trial and error, like I just mentioned. It's okay to fail, and it's okay to make mistakes, but never give up. Follow your dreams, try your best, and for the aunties and uncles and whoever is out there, these external factors, you need to be mindful of what you say to these kids or children that
Because
are growing
you
up.
do not know where their mind is at.
'Cause
Sometimes.
yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off,
Okay.
but the more comparing that you do, the more this person is going to start self-blaming themselves to the point where they might ideally have the mindset of suicide, and that's not cool.
Also, I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of factors where our mental is going to be all over the place. Like we said, we are still figuring it out. You can never be at a point in life where you're gonna say, this is my way, this is not my way. And if one thing is not gonna work out, you gotta keep on going, because life goes on. You know, it's not gonna wait on your time. And there's a thing where life is based on time. If you don't act on time, your time is like, it's as if like you can't like stress on one thing and then like sit there and say, my God, this is not working out for me, because you're at this energy. There's this energy where you're like, I'm still discovering this thing. Wow, I never thought I could be able to escape this kind of thing. Where you learn patience, where you learn self-discipline, where you learn the time when to speak, when not to speak, and all of that. And it's sad to say this, but you're not always gonna satisfy people. You're not always gonna be what is that thing called, lovable, or you're just not gonna be able to just say, oh, because I'm doing this person's gonna be proud of me. If your main focus is just like living for people, then you're in the wrong world. 100%. You know what I'm saying? So if people don't believe in you, prove to them that you're able to do that. If plan A doesn't work out, do plan B. And yeah, so you have to just keep on going and work on yourself. And it's okay to feel in that lifetime where even though there's still everything surrounded, or there's a lot of opportunities given to you, you're not be able to have it yet.
Yeah.
So the only way to do is just
keep on trying. Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about life in our 20s. We've talked about the pros, and we've talked about the cons of life in our 20s, with our pros being living in your 20s you have this like energy, you have this creative mindset, you are just open to like discovering things, whereas the cons is there's so many expectations from you. You might not fulfill like your whatever you had planned for. And again, there's also like that burnout feeling as well, with the idea of, you know, self-doubting yourself too.
And then we mentioned within all of this problem, within other like external factors that can like pull you back from achieving your goals, achieving your dreams, and all of that, like curiosity, you want to attack all of the goals that you want to do. I feel like one of the things that we should do as like our financial supporters out there, like meaning like could be our parents, could be our family members, whoever we're living with, they should allow us to take the risk that we want to do, be our supporting system, and they should like kind of guide us. That's what we need, is the guidance. We're missing guidance. We're missing that like freedom that we should be able to explore at this firing age, where like we have all the energy to like say do this, because we're running on time, and if we don't act on time, we're losing it, and we're and if we don't allow that, we are allowing our children or whoever this person is to live in regrets. And we should not do that. We also talked about how the upbringing of those sources play a factor. Maybe they were also living in a household where they were not allowed to this, and they're always like living in this fear, like don't be the person that bring the shame into this family. Don't be doing low job, and you know what I mean. And this is not right. And I feel like whatever happened in the past should not
repeat itself.
You should be living in a modern, and it's very shameful to live in this opportunity world, if you don't take the opportunity, the advantage that you have. Obviously, the advantage meaning like great advantage, like working on yourself, achieving your goal, having that energy, and being the example that you want to be. Because we are building a younger generation. So what are we trying to teach this younger generation if we don't take the risk and be able to live that lifestyle that we are, you know what I mean?
Of course. And I would like to just add my last points to this. And we also talked about how communication is the key for like literally everything. So I guess as a parent or a family member, I believe having that honest conversation at a young age, being a best friend, being an ear to your children or family members can somewhat benefit them into growing up, and then while they're living in their 20s, then they can start building that lifestyle. And also when they have their own kids, they don't repeat whatever like mistakes that they had faced and pass it on to their kids. So communication is the 100% key. But yeah, what else do you want to add?
Yes, and then with that is basically allowing our children to grow.
Yeah.
Also, if we fail to do that, we're basically putting their mental health at risk, because if there's no one to be understood, if they're trying their best, and a lot of these factors is or also stress, and you also have these nagging negativity attacking you from different direction, and we are human, we can only take, full of like, if even when cup is like filled with a lot of water, it starts to spill, and this is what metaphorically speaking, obviously a life is. So let's be kind to one another. Let's be a supporting system that we never have. And let's not confuse culture and lifestyle where things doesn't go together. And let's start to allow our children to be who they are, have their own uniqueness.
Yeah. And also let them go too, so that they can explore many opportunities too.
And don't let your fear reflect on your children's life, because your life and their life is not
different.
the same.
Of course.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you gained the knowledge that we are
passing on, I would say.
And with that, we wish you nothing but the best.
And if you have any ideas, feel free to comment down. If there's anything that we might have misunderstood or miscommunicated, feel free to drop your opinions.
Correct us in any type of form. Let's support one another with, please share this with your friends.
Yeah.
Let's have a discussion, because this is also for us as
it's a learning experience.
Basically. We still haven't figured out what life is holding on to, so with that, let's build a very communicative community, and let's just support one another with that. And don't forget to be kind.
Yeah. And this is Life's Journey, y'all.